So there's a lot of things in this world that I'm against, bro. I'm against how we grew up. You're against poverty. So you became successful. You know what I mean? But the suffering goes hand in hand with success. Like you can't say, oh, I want success, but I don't want to suffer.
You might have to take notes on this bitch. Welcome back to Famous and Wealthy Podcast, man. Today we got my boy Shane Portrait Tattoos in the building, man. What's going on, my boy?
Chilling, bro. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I met my boy in the gym. He go hard with the working out. I seen him with a book. I'm like, man, what's that book, bro? You know, he started breaking it down, so I had to get him on an interview, man. It was lit. So tell us a little bit about like your life story, bro.
Well, I mean, it just depends how far you want me to go.
Man, prison, everything. We just want to know the whole.
Okay. I grew up in a place where we come from nothing, and that ideally, even the geography, Arizona. It's like Arizona. That's where I'm originally from.
Oh, okay.
So it's nothing out there, bro.
Right.
All those in Arizona that are making it, they're good for you. But my experience, it wasn't like that. Like my experience is like real lack of opportunities, a desolate place. I experienced all that part of Arizona.
Arizona got a big city though, right?
Phoenix, and all the surrounding cities, make it big. They make it Phoenix, and that's what makes it big. I mean, it is good, but as far as like the only thing I can do is like give my personal experience.
Exactly. Right.
So I grew up in like a place that's close to the border.
Okay.
And those border towns, there's not really a lot going on, but you know,
city.
drugs and crime and stuff like that. And then given my background and it's like where my family come from, we didn't grow up in a good neighborhood and stuff like that. So all those play a factor in where I'm originally from, like where it all started.
Right.
Yeah.
So how you make it like, you know, out of that though? Like what made you want to move out of, you know, the small city to actually meet people, like to get it to another level, you know?
To get to where I'm at right now, it wasn't like one big decision.
Right.
It was like small steps that kind of like my journey was kind of like it was kind of like destiny almost. Like little steps got me here, doors open, and I kind of took them. That's kind of how it happened. It wasn't like realistically, it wasn't like you know how like that feeling like you know you're gonna do something great, you just don't know how.
Right.
I was that kid. I was that kid. Like I looked around at my situation, I'm like, man, this ain't adding up. Like something ain't right. Something's not clicking. Right. And I just knew I was like, man, I'm meant to be great. And I didn't know how, but I guess, you know, that belief system, enough, like I think doors start opening. You know what I mean?
Right. So how did you get around to even get a door open though? Like,
man, honestly, bro, that's just a lot of doors didn't open for me.
Yeah.
Like straight up. Like, so in the beginning, like so I grew up in 29th Street in Arizona in Tucson. That's where I'm from.
Oh,
so I grew up in a gang neighborhood. And I had this one time there was a preacher that came up to me. He was a well-respected dude. His name was Tito. He came up to me, he told me he said he prophesied over me. And he goes, you may not know this, but he goes, I got something to tell you. And he goes, you're young, you ain't gonna understand this, but he goes, you're gonna reach a lot of people. He's like, you're gonna lead a lot of people, but you have to suffer a lot. That's what he told me. He's like, and I'm like 9, bro. I'm like 9 years old. So he told me this, and I didn't like register. He's like, you don't understand yet. He's like, but it's something God showed me about you. And then that's always been the prophecy throughout my life. So I would have people stop me and say, hey, like, I know who you are. Or to give you another example, like fast forward to where I'm like, now I'm 18, 19 going into jail.
Yeah.
And some guy put his hand over me and he goes, I know who you are. He goes, I seen your tats on your face. I know exactly. I know everything. He's like, God showed me stuff about you. He's like, I knew I was going to meet you. I was going to meet you before I even met you. Wow. And he goes, you have to suffer. You have to keep going. But he's like, you're going to lead many people. That was always a message, always a message. So all those people, and I'm like, it just wouldn't click. I'm like, damn, what? Because eventually my eyes open. I'm like, damn, why am I always like going through some fucked up situations?
Yeah.
But I guess it was just all part of the plan. You know what I mean?
Did it make you want to pray more though? Like when you
honestly, bro, I hated God.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I hated him just because like I couldn't understand my suffering.
Yeah.
I was like, why I gotta grow up like this? Why I gotta grow up with lack? Why I gotta grow up, fucked up homes, and why I gotta grow up like in this? Because like honestly, bro, like I'm not a vicious person.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like the way I view myself is I'm just a regular little boy still that just wants to do good in life. But my circumstances forced me to do things and be a certain way that I had like I couldn't help it. It was all just like it was like fast. It was instinct. It was impulsive, and I just acted on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it just kind of like my situations created this. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like neglect and lack, that's where you get desperate. You know what I'm saying? And when you grow up like around a lot of violence, like in order
Yeah.
to survive, you kind of have to act a certain way.
Yeah, you do.
You know what I mean? And and,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to be vicious, but it's just, I mean, it's
Yeah.
just you do things to survive, you know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
exactly. You gotta
And
be
you
a
don't think of the consequences. You just
yeah.
like by that time it's too late. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What made you get into like tattoos and stuff like that? Like your
Um
first what was the first time you got a tattoo basically?
the shit, I was probably like 14, 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. 14,
Damn.
15 years old. Yeah. Yeah.
Damn. That's young. So like you just started like, man, I'm gonna get a whole lot of tattoos and shit, like type shit. Like early on, like 14, 15. Cause oh yeah, you're right. I was about 15 when I first got my
Mhm.
first tattoo as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Like as far as the book though, like what would be your message about the book to make it like? And when I first met you about it, like you was like it was a story. Like what's your story in this book?
So it's kind of like it's like it's based on my life, like my childhood. Like
Yeah,
so, when I got the idea to do this book, it was like one day I was I was riding in on my Harley and I was in Texas and I was kind of like saying a prayer. And usually I like to ride a lot because that's where I have like I'm isolated. Like I have
right.
nobody, no distractions, no phone, no nothing. And I prayed and I said a prayer and it's weird because out of nowhere it just kind of hit me. It was like it's children, like I heard a children's book.
Right.
And I didn't understand it at the time because I'm like, like I didn't even process it, bro. Like honestly, I didn't even think to write a children's book. Like it was
Right.
not even a part of my plan or nothing.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of left it alone. And then years later, fast forward, then I ended up becoming friends with Star. She's does the Weather Channel in New York,
Yeah.
and she ended up doing a children's book. So she kind of like directed me and kind of helped me
All
to
right.
get to that process. And I didn't even know where to start, but we kind of we ended up kind of having we clicked on the idea of like purpose and God and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And because she's originally from LA, so she's like real connected to the youth and stuff like that. And then that's kind of how it happened. And then I just kind of like put it together. We did it, we made it happen. And oh, so when I was writing it, I went to like a lounge on top and I, bro, honestly, I didn't even know where to start. Like I was gonna do characters. Like I was
Right.
gonna try to reach because like my all my experiences started when I was when I was young, when I was like really young. Like I was
Yeah.
13 when I first got charged as an
Yeah.
adult.
Yeah.
So I was gonna try to like do like characters, but then I heard something kind of say like just keep it authentic as possible.
Right.
Like
Makes
be as
sense.
like tell it just like it is. Like don't take nothing from it and don't add nothing to it. Like
Right.
just be yourself. So I told my story kind of like, and it's like real light. It's not like all the details. It's just real kind of like a few stories. And then so I wrote it like that. And then when I worked with the illustrator, she kind of helped me like put the images together. So it's just kind of like, I mean, I just
Right.
kind of
Right.
gave it to them. Like just the way it was given to me is kind of the same way I'm gonna give it back.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna kind of like,
You got any big plans for 2025 as far as like mentorships? I see you work out a lot, you know what I mean? Like
mhm.
you thinking about doing any big time training programs and stuff like that?
Yeah, for sure. I'm into that. I'm real big into like mentoring and coaching, and just because like mindset is real important,
Yeah.
development, and that's where it started. So
Yeah,
it's very important, like just who we are as men, the
for
mental
sure.
development. Yeah.
How do you deal with like, coming from a small town or whatever, you in Miami, you see everybody getting successful and like even with myself though, like I come from Chicago. I came out here and I was just like, damn, like everybody doing so good. It's a lot of competition, but it's good competition. Everybody look at it a little different. Like
Mhm.
actually coming to Miami actually helped me get successful by being like in the right places, just like you in like
Yeah.
in the gym and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Like how do you deal with so many like distractions? Like how do you get through it? Like,
It,
because
the,
it's a lot of distractions out here.
like the distractions out here in Miami,
Yeah. Like I
like
know you was in a small city, but it was like more distractions here by it being so much going on. Like some
oh,
people can't take it, some people can.
honestly, the way I kind of see it is like, I mean, people flock from all around the world to be here.
Yeah.
So it's like I think it's like anything in life.
Yeah.
Like you can use it to your advantage.
Exactly.
You know what I
Yeah. That's
mean?
what basically what I was getting around. Like some people that come here and I'm like, man, this is too
Eat
much.
them up,
Like
yeah.
it's
Because I've heard that. I've heard people talk and say, "I don't like it there," but I'm like, I have the opposite. I'm like, I
yeah, I
like it
love
here.
it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. I'm like, or I can be back home where it's like super gang banged out, or like, it's a lot going on. So that's how I kind of be looking at like, damn, but That's what I wanted to know, like how you take it, like, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, even the prison system.
Yeah, for
Like it
sure.
broke a lot of people,
Yeah.
but a lot of us it made us
Yeah,
too. So it's
it
kind of
helped me
like
too though.
usually
Yeah.
what like breaks people is what makes people. So it just
Yeah.
depends on, I guess, the to the core, like what type of person you are and how you view the world, and
Right.
that it goes back to
Do you
like your
believe that
mentality.
some people out here may need to go to prison to actually be successful? Like do you think that some people need a sit down, a
Oh
reality
yeah,
check?
yeah, yeah. I used to say that. I used to say that. I'm like, man, ain't
Cause
nothing
I
like,
think I was moving too
yeah.
fast and like very rushy to
hmm
certain situations and stuff like that before I was just like, damn, I needed to damn, if this wouldn't have happened, then I probably wouldn't have been where I'm at now. Type of
Like I necessarily wouldn't say recommend it.
yeah,
Like you know
for
what I
sure,
mean.
yeah.
But it did have some benefits to it, and it did kind of play out
Cause
good in
like
the
you
end.
actually got to like know get to know yourself more,
Yeah.
right?
Well, if it was up to me, like I wouldn't have gone through what I went through.
Yeah,
But
for
I
sure.
mean, I believe a higher power, like it was destiny almost.
Yeah,
And of course, we're gonna go through that shit fighting and kicking. But then eventually, like it's like you settle, you calm the mind, and then
yeah,
you figure your way out. So all that pressure, it's like you slowly like figure out how to move and how to maneuver and how to act and conduct yourself in ways that you like. Normally, this would break any man, but it kind of like it built me. You
yeah.
know what I
What was
mean?
some of your worst experiences in jail?
My worst experiences,
Yeah,
man, I don't know. I've just seen it all. Like,
yeah,
yeah, I've been in the system for as long as I can remember. So I was 13. So
yeah,
there was a time when, like, I looked up to all that. Like, I thought that was the flyest thing ever. You know what I mean? Just
yeah,
like all the gang members and their form and fashion and just how they carried themselves and
yeah,
moving. To me, that was like fascinating. But
yeah.
then after a while, like I've been in it so long, I started seeing like
It's
beneath
bigger.
it the curtains and stuff. And a
Yeah,
lot of my
yeah.
homeboys they ended up joining, like the bigger organizations.
Mhm.
And then with me, it just there came a point in my life where like my appetite was like not there no more. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like
yeah,
my desires, and I was just kind of like, nah, this don't fit. It's not
yeah,
fitting me. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
It's not feeding my soul. It's not registering. It's not doing anything beneficial. It's tearing me down more than anything. But I think it was very necessary that I experienced it, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to speak on it and connect with, that's how I see it. I
Yeah,
felt like I had to experience it and see it in order to connect on that level with, like, people like us.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like me, one of the things that changed me is I went to the hole for like 9 months.
Mhm.
And like I was reading, but I had a cell phone and shit like that. So I
Mhm.
was really on my phone
Oh,
listening to YouTube
damn.
videos.
Shit.
I got in the hole, and that's when I started reading hella books. I'm talking about I read every Rich Dad Poor Dad, the spiritual book. I read, you know how like when they bring you the books, you literally gonna
Yeah,
read
yeah.
the whole shit.
Yeah,
Like, you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I that was probably my best experience because I read every educational book,
Mhm.
every credit book, literally every book, like
Mm.
boards. And then on the educational books, I started taking notes and shit. You know what I mean? Like to really start knowing how to do marketing or how to do this or how to do that. So
Mm.
that's the good benefit about it. Cause I
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
would have never, I wouldn't have never read them books out
That
here.
is true.
Never.
I did read a lot, and I
Yeah.
liked it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I read a lot too, just because like, so I'm like uneducated. Like
Yeah.
that's how I grew up.
Me too.
I grew up, like
Yeah.
I wasn't the very best well spoken.
I
I
dropped out
had
of school at ninth grade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
made it to like eighth.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like I had trouble expressing myself, bro. Like there
Yeah.
was something really wrong with me, bro. I had to really
For
connect, and
sure. For
I
sure.
couldn't speak right. Like I had so much inside me, but I didn't know how to get it out.
Right.
And once I started to read, I started learning how to speak, because I couldn't
Yeah.
speak well. Like I just would like, I don't know. I didn't know how to say what I really wanted to say.
Yeah. The right way. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
So then
sure.
once I started reading, it kind of like I started speaking a little bit better. You know what I
Nah.
mean?